All right, good Friday morning, everybody. Today is Friday, July 25th. This is your Friday morning safety meeting. I'd like to welcome everybody that's here in the Springfield terminal, the Pittston terminal, Utah terminal. If you're out there listening to us on our social media pages, we appreciate you joining in this morning. Hope everybody's having a good start to their Friday. My name is John Harden. I'm in the safety department. With me this morning is Mr. Dave White. Morning, Dave.
Morning, John. Doing good?
Doing great.
Man, you started off this meeting with a bang. I like that.
I know. I just got done with my cup of coffee, so
Did you have a donut too?
Maybe.
Okay, we won't bring that. Oh, we got Colby coming up.
Colby's not listening yet, so, but maybe. So, but again, we'd like to welcome everybody. If this is your first time joining us, if this is your first time here at Prime, if this is your first week here at Prime, we always like to do something special and recognize our new associates. So let's get that out of the way right out of the gate. If you've got a yellow vest on, if this is your first week here at Prime, if you're at one of the 3 terminals that are meeting this morning, please stand up and let us welcome you to the Prime family. I saw somebody take a yellow vest off right there, so they didn't have to stand up, I think. So
I think you're right.
So, but it looks like everybody's out there enjoying their breakfast this morning. We also want to recognize John Blansett and his team here in Springfield and the crews in Salt Lake and Pittston. So let's give them a big round of applause as well for this good breakfast. All right, Dave, what do you got this morning to start us off with?
Man, we got a bang coming up. We got Mr. Colby and Rachel. Miss Rachel, I don't know if she's down here or not, but we have old Colby Hughes here from our driver health and fitness. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, she's busy this morning already. So, but hey, everybody, good morning. Yeah, so I'm Colby, driver health and fitness. Every week we always have a health tip we give away. We kind of give out and things like that. Every week we have our group call that we do, and yesterday we had it was talking about foundational exercises, or what you would consider like something you should be doing on a regular basis. And one thing I told the group and we talked about was, and when I talk about and think about foundational exercises, it is the core exercises. And core we typically think is like abs and things like that, leg lifts, which is very true. But there's way more to your what I would call core than that. It's anything below the chest and above the knees and all the way around. So that is glutes on the back side, that's hip flexors on the front side. But the biggest thing about why we want to focus on core and what we consider foundational exercises is called bracing or the draw-in method. So if I was literally going to sit in front of you, John, this is why I wanted you here, because if I was going to punch you in the stomach, you would brace yourself, right? And there's your chance. But it would be bracing. And that's not necessarily sucking in like you're flexing in a mirror, but just drawing it in. So anybody that's sitting there for a second, if you stop eating for a second, just think about it is, if you sit up tall and you draw in, don't suck in, but draw in like I'm going to punch you in the gut. And you're just stabilizing your core. That's something you do, hold for 20, 30 seconds. I'm still talking to you while I'm doing it. I'm obviously breathing while I'm doing it. But that's literally taking everything and keeping it tight. So from the abs to the obliques to the low back, and then you relax, and then you do it again. That draw-in method is something, like I said, you're working on a foundational movement, a foundational area that will help with your posture. It'll help also delay the fatigue, right? So that can help with one. Another one we talk about is really good for balance. So any foundational movement you have is really good for balance. So in your truck, you could literally stand there, draw in your draw-in method again, but then lift one leg up. If I lift one leg up, I can go forward with it, side, back, those kinds of things. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to compromise my core, so I still keep my foundational strength this way. You can do the same thing. We do it in yoga a lot of times is this way, and then you work on arms and legs going out, same thing. These are things you could do in your truck. These are what we would be called in our group, we called foundational exercises. And that's one thing that's really important. I love the word foundation because we talk about it. Rachel, if she was here this morning too, we talk about it is you foundational, there you go, is you have the foundation, and we all talk about the foundation of your health and well-being is your nutrition, and it is those things, but it's also these kinds of things, so your exercises. So that's what I had this morning as we talk about foundational exercises. I will share with Jamie so we can put it in the chat too. Anybody have any questions? Like I said, core to me, and then foundationally is from above the knees to below the chest and all the way around. So you got out cheap, John. So anybody? Questions while I'm here? Thomas, good to see you. All right, that's it. Yeah, you got one? So I was called out for a there's a question back there. I was, and I just gave you a few demonstrations. You want me to show you more? Actually, more. Give me that mat real quick. I got time. Sure. You want to be my guinea pig, Thomas? You want to be my guinea pig? Okay. Love it. Okay, so that's fine. So I was giving the example here. Okay, you want to hold this microphone for me? So a few things we'll talk about is everything from front to back. So when I'm going to talk about a couple of things is a general plank, but also I'll show a bridge. So a bridge is you lay on your back, and this is one probably the group call we were talking about. Is it works everything from the posterior side. You have a question before I do it?
I like that. That's a real convenient way to strengthen your core. My question is, what is the recommended time to hold in there your stomach?
Yeah, so that let's call it draw in right now. Hold it typically 20 to 30 seconds, and you want to do it maybe then give yourself a break and do it multiple times. The 20 to 30 seconds is great, and you'll notice, like I said, is how your posture will change, right? Because if I take my core and I draw it in and keep it strong like this, what I end up doing is I'm now lifting my chest up, something that I don't do very well in the truck probably, right? And then it also just builds up that strength, so then it doesn't fatigue as fast. So yeah, great question. So okay, I'll show you a couple. I'll show you. Let me show you. So the first one is what I call a bridge, and it's a posterior exercise.
Which way you go?
Right here. So I'll take it. Perfect. Yeah. So I'm laying on my back right here, heels flat on the ground, and then I'm just going to lift my hips up. And I'm literally holding everything from my hamstrings to the backside of my shoulders. Same thing. We can do that single leg. We can do it both legs. That works on strength. That works on balance. That's a great way to do it. You can do it for multiple repetitions if you want. But for our case sake right now, in delaying fatigue and working on overall strength endurance, I would do it for holding 20, 30 seconds, and then relaxing, do it again. Again, if you elevate your feet, I had a driver who talked about maybe they don't have as much clearance that way. If you elevate your feet on something, it makes it a little bit easier. Another way to do it, like I said, is anywhere. If you elevate your feet or your shoulders, you can do it that way too. So it's a great one. And then, like I said, plank's the same thing. Everybody here knows what a plank is. If you laid face down, you can do it from your elbows. You can do it from your knees. You don't know what a plank is? Okay, love this. This is going really well. So yeah, we literally, here, Dave, hold this for me. Actually, I'll take it this way. A military guy doesn't know a plank. Actually, on our group call, we had this, and they talked about how in the military, they focus on core exercises a lot. So I call a liar on you. But the whole reason for it is because, again, it's a foundational movement. But plank, same thing, right? We can modify it from our knees. If I elevate my feet, elbows down, I can also go from here and go from my toes. You can go side planks, all kinds of things. So there's a reason that we would do that, though. And like I said, all that is, we want to have these foundational exercises. Anything else you got? Don't tell me. So yeah, there you go. Okay, any questions? Yeah.
Colby will be around after the meeting here. So yeah, feel free to talk to him, or he's upstairs. His office is right up above us. Not only that, I'm going to put a little plug in for yoga. We got yoga class today at 10 o'clock. So yeah, Monday and Fridays are at 10 o'clock right upstairs. Johanna, our fitness expert here in the building, she'll be here and she'll teach us a class. Also on Wednesday afternoon at 2:30, there's yoga class too. So if you're a driver, it's open to all of our drivers, in-house people. Show up. All you got to do is show up. We got mats upstairs. You grab a towel. That's a good thing to have because I guarantee you're going to be sweating. I've experienced this class a few times, and it's a good class, and it covers just what Colby talked about, is working on your core. So.
Absolutely. And for anybody that's new here at Prime, please reach out to Colby and Rachel. I've reached out to them, and they are beyond helpful whenever it comes to you and your health. And they will take the time to thoroughly walk you through a program specifically for you, whether it's, your diet, whether it's exercise. But please reach out to them. If you're a veteran driver here and you haven't done it, please do so. Colby, I have one question for you, just for maybe the newer folks. How many laps walking around the truck and trailer equal 1 mile? Because that's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, that's a great question. So 33 laps.
33.
Roughly 32 and a half, but yeah, right at 33.
Maybe not, July 25th at noon when it's 150 degrees out, but just for general knowledge, 33 laps. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I love that. You bet.
All right, Johnny, what do we got next? I think we got it. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, well, we're going to bring up Summer from the company store, and it looks like she's going to tag on to the exercise theme this morning.
Good morning. Good morning. So health and fitness has been a super hot topic lately between in-house challenging drivers, the Highway Diamond Health and Fitness Challenge, all the things. So the store does have a wide variety of options to help you in this time with this challenge, yes. And then, so I just wanted to demonstrate, or not demonstrate, I don't want to do that. But I wanted to show you some of those things. We have the Stamina bike. It is foldable, so it fits well behind your seats in your truck, or if you want to put it on your top bunk. It is cordless, so you can undo it and then ride it in your truck. Or if it's a nice day out somewhere and you want to take it outside of the park or a parking lot, you can do that. We have resistance bands, ab rollers, jump ropes, and the grips to strengthen your hands. Those are just to name a few. We also carry weight sets that are adjustable up to 50 pounds, and they can extend as well. And then the weight bench, in case you want to work out your muscles and stuff like that. These are just a few of the items. You can find them in the company store here, PA, Salt Lake, as well as the online store at primexstore.com. But you're not just limited to those items. Anything in the store, for the most part, is on the online store. So just definitely swing by, take a look, see what your options are. That's it. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Summer. Does anybody have any questions for Summer while she's up here?
Thank you.
Good deal. Thank you, Summer. Great information.
Very
That
good
company store, man, we got all kinds of shirts and pants and shoes even down there, and cologne, you name it.
Everything you need, for sure.
There you go. Let's move it on out to the terminal, shall we?
Let's do that.
Let's go out to the East Coast. Let's out of our Pittston terminal. Let's the two Ricks. We got Rick Gifford and Rick Yarborough with us this morning. So good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Morning.
How y'all doing?
We are doing good. Yourself?
Hey, awesome. You know, some great weather we had this last week. You know, a little bit of rain, but not too bad. Lots of sun means lots of fun. So, yeah, we have had a good time up here this week. Great orientation class. A bunch of drivers coming through, getting their CDL licenses, and getting them to work.
Good deal. How about you, Mr. Yarborough? How's it going?
It's going just wonderful. You know, I was out there for a few days. Springfield started off the week, got back here. No, I don't have a whole lot to pass today. Just want to thank everyone for what they do. You know, our driving associates who are out there, you know, keeping those roads hot every single day, man. We really appreciate everything you do. And just a reminder, like I said last week, this terminal is here to support you. So if you need anything while you're at the terminal and you can't get it done, come find me, find Rick Gifford, and we'll make sure you get taken care of, man. But this is your home. This terminal was built for our driving force. So if you need us, come find us. That's about all I have, guys. Just appreciate everyone.
Hey, you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about safety a little bit. You know, our old safety director, or prior safety director, Dan Lacey, used to say, there's only two reasons that you're going to park on a shoulder. You're dying or the truck's dying. Just remember that parking on a shoulder road is not a safe place to be. So if you need to pull over, go ahead and do that. But make sure if you're there for 10 minutes, get your triangles out and let everybody know what's going on around you. And just remember this: the shoulder road is not a restroom or a place to take a break. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. If you have any questions from Pittston, make sure you let us know. Love to get you on the mic, any of your drivers up there. So, you know, Rick Yarborough hit the nail on the head there when he said, you know, that's what we're here for, is to support the drivers. And that is, we got very nice terminals at all of our locations. But end of the day, you know, if you guys need help, any of our new drivers or even older drivers, doesn't matter, veterans, make sure you ask one of us. That's what we're here for, is to help you out. And Rick hit it right out of the ballpark with that. So let's go out west. Let's go out to Gage. We have for 2 weeks in a row, Gage Gilliam out in Salt Lake.
Hey guys, how you guys doing?
We're doing good. How's Salt Lake doing?
Man, we're doing just fine. Nice day, still warm. I mean, I think it's been in the high 90s for like 2 months now, it seems like. But with that being said, you know, just a couple things. You know, when you're going on your 10-hour break, just double check your reefer fuel levels. You know, with that heat, it's going to be burning a lot quicker than, you know, 6 months ago. Another thing, just make sure if you're going home, please get a plan in place to get that trailer dropped at a secure location. If you're stopped at a truck stop and, you know, you're going home, please stay latched up to that trailer. If you're under a load, you know, want to go home for an hour or so, you know, please stay latched to that trailer. But other than that, you know, if you guys need me, I got the microphone. If you have any questions for Dave and John, please come see me. That's all I got.
All right, thanks, Gage. And I'm sure you're missing Justin and Jonathan. Hopefully next week they'll be back out there. I know this week we've had the privilege of working with Justin. He's standing over here off to the side, so we brought him down, and it's great. We were able to get our other safety associates through and work with us, Johnny. So what do you got next?
It is. It's always good to see them. So we're going to bring it back here to Springfield now. So good morning again, everybody. We got a couple of mics, so we appreciate it. So, you know, in case you walked in late, we'll reintroduce ourselves. I'm John Harden in the safety department. This is Dave White, also in the safety department. So welcome. You know, we didn't talk about this a little bit earlier. We did recognize our new associates at all the terminals. But if you are new to Prime, you know, if you've been at other trucking companies, if this is not your first driving job, you know, we feel like we're a pretty unique company, and we're pretty proud of the culture that we have here at Prime. And this badge that everybody gets right there will get you into any door that you need to here in the terminal, Salt Lake, Pittston. And unlike other companies that, you know, as a former fleet manager, get drivers in and say, hey, come by my desk and let's meet and talk. And, you know, they're almost knocked over because they couldn't believe they could come up and talk to their fleet manager. Well, Prime's a wide open, door open policy. So these cards will get you in where you need to be. When you come in, meet your fleet manager, meet your payroll associate, meet your log advisor, meet your road assist advisor. That is your team that's going to make your business successful. They're going to help make or break your business, right? And we're all here to make you successful, right? And if we don't do that, we're no longer here, right?
It's true. Yep.
So please build those relationships. Please make those introductions. If you need help, come up here. Ask us after the meeting if there's somebody specific that you've never met that you wanted to meet. We'll walk you to them if they're here on the terminal today, or get you in contact with them, whatever the case may need. But welcome. We're glad you're here. Do you want to add anything to that, Dave?
Yeah, just one thing. Make sure you wear your badge all the time, too. That's one of our security concerns here. So we want to see that badge. All of our in-house people, we have to wear them all the time as well. If you don't see one on somebody, ask them, are you a Prime associate? And where's your badge? Because you need to have that on. And it's just to make sure we have our, you know, the people here are supposed to be here on site. And if you got visitors, we even have visitor badges. If you have a passenger, you can get one from security. That's where you go check in at, and they'll get you taken care of. So just make sure you have that. And like John says, man, you can go anywhere you want around here and you know, during the day, and you come up and visit us in safety. You can go up and see your fleet manager, operations, road assist, all that, logs, you name it, you know, it's available to you. So,
yeah, and we're located in the Z building up there in the middle of the room, sort of by Success Leasing. Most folks know where Success Leasing is pretty early on in their careers here at Prime. So if you need anything, stop by and don't hesitate to ask. So we're going to move right on to our next speaker here. We're going to bring up Mr. Jeff Chisholm, who's going to talk about cargo claims. Morning, Jeff.
Good morning, John. How are you, sir? Hey, good morning, everybody. Just want to briefly talk about a few items, kind of hit on some topics to help you guys keep some money in your pocket regarding cargo claims. First thing I want to mention is securement of our equipment and our assets. I've been here 27 years. I don't think I've ever seen a year like this, and just how bold some of these thieves are these days. But, you know, I just want to remind everybody, we do not drop trailers in unsecured facilities, unsecured locations, and we do not drop loaded trailers that are unsecured. It takes very little time for someone to come pick up your trailer and take off with it. We've experienced this, and we just need to be very diligent about how we take care of our equipment, our loads. I also want to kind of briefly say, you know, make sure you're keeping everything secured with an alloy lock. If you have a lock that is broken or a seal that gets broken in transit, please let claims know immediately so we can contact our customer. I know parking is limited. If possible, try to avoid backing up to wooded areas, you know, places that people can approach your trailer undetected. So try to watch for that. I also want to talk about checking temperatures on your bills. You guys go through a live loaded call process. Please take that very seriously and check and verify the temp on your bills. Make sure you are circling it and verifying that with your live loaded person. If there is any discrepancy, we must verify the correct temp before you take that load. Now, I mean, keep in mind, once we take these loads, we are responsible. So if we run it at the wrong temp, we're going to have an entire load claim. So it's very, very serious. I also want to just touch on securement as far as product securement. We need to secure every load. Now, a lot of these are preloaded, shipper load and count. You're not going to be able to get to them, but primarily want to focus on produce. That is where we have most of our issues. I want to encourage everybody to use a minimum of 2 load locks, 3, 4, 5, whatever it takes to secure the product. I would be very cautious of product at a Walmart, Colton, California, Masternardi, Livonia, and some of our Sprouts loads out of Orlando. And keep in mind, not only do we have to secure these from the shipper, we have to secure these between stops. So if you're, making a stop, make sure you get your load locks back in there and secure everything properly. Last thing, I just want to briefly touch on seals. Ideally, we need to keep a seal record for every trip that we do to make sure the product was secured from shipper to consignee. A lot of the issues we have here are on some of our Walmart loads because we do a lot of drop trailers. Just always verify that the seal number on your bills at the shipper or your LTL manifest is noted on that drop sticker at Walmart. They have a year to come back and file claims against us. Sometimes it's hard to investigate things 4 or 5 months later. So when you're dropping a load or delivering a load at Walmart, verify that that seal on that drop sticker matches the shipper's bills. And last thing I just want to say is, please be sure to report all OS&Ds. Ideally, it'd be best if you can send your bills, send pictures of, damaged product labels on the Prime app, and then call us, give it 10 or 15 minutes. That way the claim associate can go through the bills and all the issues with you, make sure we got everything right before we report it to our customer. That's really all I have today. If you guys got any questions, feel free. Yeah. Good. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. Hey, I also work a lot with accident subrogation, which is just a fancy word of saying, hey, we collect for damages people cause to our equipment. We're getting a little lax now that we have the cameras. If you get hit in a truck stop or a parking lot or a shipper receiver or something like that, yeah, a lot of times we have the video, but please try to get some information from the other driver. If possible, if he'll give you copies of his license, registration, great. Take all that and send it in to us. If the driver won't cooperate, it's probably not going to cooperate with us when we try to collect the claims. So it's a good idea to call the police or try to see if you can get a witness statement or something like that. But get names, truck numbers, trailer numbers. If we have to call the insurance, it's very difficult to report a claim if we don't even have the other driver's name. So try to get as much information as you can. It will help us help you collect for your damages and downtime down the road. Appreciate that, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah, one thing I'm going to add on to that as well. If you're at a truck stop, you're parked at night, you feel the truck shake, it's not storming or anything outside, that probably means somebody may have just bumped into you. If you get up, if you feel that, hit that button on the bottom of the camera. That will at least give us a timestamp to where we can start looking for those videos, because we get a lot of phone calls and we do everything that we can to try to go in to subrogate these claims to avoid our drivers paying deductibles if they get hit while they're on their 10-hour break in a truck stop. But we get a lot of calls where someone will say, somebody broke my mirror off last night. It was sometime between 9 p.m. and 8 a.m. this morning. And so these videos that we request are in 1-minute increments. So that's a lot of videos to go through. So hitting that button will give us a reference as far as where we need to start to find those videos. And we're pretty successful about finding other carriers, identifying their tractor, their trailers, and reaching out to their company, sending the video to prevent you guys from having to pay deductibles. So just wanted to add that in there as well.
Appreciate that, John. Yeah, great job. All right, guys, any questions? All right, going to turn it back over to safety. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Good job. Yeah, the old days of, still taking pictures at accident scenes is still valid today. Even though we got those cameras, make sure you take pictures. That's so important. So what do you got next?
Absolutely. All right, we're going to bring up a couple of folks from our maintenance team. We're going to bring up Doug and Trent. Always very good information from these two. Good morning, guys.
Right. Good morning. First off, I really thank you guys for what you're doing out there hauling freight for us, making our paychecks. We understand how it works here, right? There's a few things that we're going to cover. We're going to talk about some pre-trips. It's really hot right now, so we want to hit some reefer stuff and what you should be looking at when you walk up to your equipment. So I'm going to start right here. Obviously for me, I'm always walking around looking at my tires first. And then anytime I'm at a customer's lot or even walking our yard to double check tires that we're not missing anything, I would look at our bottom pan on our reefers. This is something that we really need your guys' help with. As these reefers, create freon leaks over time. Freon leaks are really hard to detect until the systems are entirely really low on freon and it starts warming up that product on us. So anytime you're walking up to your equipment, make sure you look at the oil, look for oil on that bottom pan. That's a sign that we have a compressor failure. It's not an uncommon event. I don't know how many compressor repairs we do per month, but it's in the hundreds, between our three terminals. So make sure you look for that. That's a red flag for us. Anytime you're on a yard and you're hooking up to the trailer next to you, and you see several prime trailers out there, we'd really appreciate it if you were to walk that yard and look for wet bottom pans. We definitely don't want our customers loading those trailers if the freon's leaking. Those freon systems always hold some oil in there. Compressor oil is thinner, kind of like motor oil. It's clear. So anytime you have that, if it doesn't smell like fuel, for one, you either have a fuel leak if the bottom pan's full, motor oil leak, which is going to be black, dirty oil, or compressor seal leak, which is going to be clear oil. So look for those three items. That'll really prevent you from loading a trailer that's going to be out of service or cause harm to that product. So the next picture we have is how the airflow works in the reefer. I'm going to pass it off to Trent.
So what I'm going to talk about here is specifically the chute inside the trailer. We also call it the air duct. When you open up in the back doors on a trailer and look up at the ceiling, you see that cloth duct that goes the entire length of the trailer. And that is a really important part of the refrigeration system on that trailer. It's the only way cold air can push through the front all the way to the back of the unit. So when cold air leaves the reefer unit up at the very front at the top, it goes into the chute and goes all the way to the back of the chute. And when it exits the back of the chute right there at the rear of the trailer, that's where it hits the product for the first time. And at that point, it starts working its way back up to the front. There's an intake up at the front bottom that's sucking air back in. So you've got constant forward air movement inside the trailer. And this works great as long as the chute's hung up. But if the chute's hanging down somewhere like it is in the top photo there, you can see wherever it's hanging down, the cold air is going to come out right there. And as soon as it comes out, it's going to start working its way back up to the front. So you're only going to see air circulation in that first part of the trailer, and there's going to be a load claim. Guys, we pay you guys to rehang chutes, so it's a win-win for us here. This is really important. Every single load, before you arrive at the shipper, you need to do an inspection on that chute and make sure it's hung up. If it's not, rehang it. There's a video on YouTube that will show you how to do it. It's really simple. One of the easiest repairs that you guys can do on our equipment. And take before and after pictures. You'll get paid for doing the repair.
Yeah, one thing you want to remember too, walk all the way up to the front of the trailer, look for those front corners hanging down. That chute's going to lose a lot of air there. Look for shrink wrap, any plastic that's going to be in the bottom of that trailer, that's your return air. It's very important that you have that unclogged. So anytime you have loose shrink wrap in there, sweep that trailer out, get that picked up, because it'll get in there and get that clogged up and it'll affect your return sensors. So I'll go over to the next picture. We have our Thermo King and our carrier displays, right? And I don't have anything specific on these displays, but you as reefer operators, if you're a reefer operator in here, you should be able to navigate through these systems and these screens fairly easily, right? So you always want to look at these supply and return airs, and ambient sensors. Sometimes we have these sensors go bad and it can really affect how these reefers produce that cold air. So let's say, for instance, you have a supply sensor go bad, or we'll say a return air sensor. So maybe we're supplying negative 10-degree air, but the return air sensor is bad and it thinks we're supplying 50-degree air, right? So what's going to happen is that reefer is going to kick in high speed. It's going to try to cool that trailer because it thinks that product is at 50 degrees versus, maybe 30 degrees in that trailer. So it'll work in overtime. It'll top freeze that product. It'll burn more fuel. So really pay attention to that stuff. If you don't know how to navigate these screens, please contact us at Road Assist. Please, where can we learn? Where can these operators learn more things about these reefers and these pre-trips, Trent? Don't you have a class that handles all that?
Yeah, we've got a couple of ways that you guys can get this information outside of this meeting. First of all, I do a class every day at our Springfield terminal here in Springfield, the Campus Inn, 1 o'clock. If you want to learn more about the equipment and maintenance on it, I highly encourage you to come check this class out. I'll learn you up really good. We do it on Thursdays also in Pittston and Salt Lake, same time, 1 o'clock. So if you're at one of those places on Thursday, check it out there. And I do want to circle back to the displays here and talk about one more thing that we need to be doing. Every single load, there's 2 things we need to accomplish. Number 1 is checking the chute. Number 2, we need to do a pre-trip on the reefer. And this is a pretty easy thing to do. I don't like that we call it a pre-trip because it kind of gives you some baggage. You have another job that you're doing called the pre-trip. It's a lot of work. This is not a lot of work. This involves pressing a couple of buttons. So every single load, before you arrive at the shipper, on the display right there, on the carrier units, you press the menu button, then press pre-trip, then press equal. That's it. Walk away, come back to it in about 15 minutes, and it will say right there on the screen if it passed or failed. We've got to do that. We've got to know if that trailer fails a pre-trip before we put, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of product in the trailer. Okay, that's really important. I'm forgetting something here, but anyway.
Yeah, no, I think you're nailing it. So, yeah, great job. That's great points. So, and also, pre-cool that trailer. Anytime you look for that wet bottom pan because some type of oil is leaking out of it. It could be Freon oil, gearbox oil. It could be a multiple thing. Oh, Jamie has a question.
Hello. Hi. There it is. Okay. I do have a question from online. Should they preemptively run a defrost cycle during summer months on miscellaneous frozen loads, or should they wait till it's out of range or get that notification? That's a long question. I'm sorry.
Run that by me one more time. I'm sorry.
Okay. Should they preemptively run the defrost cycle during summer months on miscellaneous frozen loads, or should they wait till they get that out of range notification?
It's not necessary to run a manual defrost unless we've got an underlying problem. The reefer will run defrost on its own, so it's sort of a passive thing that we shouldn't need intervention on until we start seeing some sort of an issue. There's 2 more things that I want to hit on really quick. First of all, I said there's 2 ways that we get information out. The first way is this class. The second way is YouTube. Got a ton of videos on YouTube. We've got videos covering all of this and how to go through the controls in the unit. So if none of this makes sense, please check the videos out and it'll learn you up there. And I already forgot the second point Yep, I lost it again. I'm sorry.
And I know we're getting a lot of temp alerts. It's hot out there, right? We get products that may be a little warm when we first load them. Got to get them cooled down. If you get temp alerts, don't pull over immediately. Don't stop on the side of the interstate or highway. Get to a safe location. Safety is our highest calling, right? That load, we may lose the load, but we don't want to lose you, right? So make sure you do not pull over on the interstates. Get pulled over into a safe location, off the off ramp, into a parking spot. Wherever you can, be safe, okay, first and foremost. So thank you for what you do. I know we're kind of tight on time. Maybe one question, Dave? One question if anybody has any. If not, we'll walk off the stage and be happy. Thomas Miller.
I've been asked a bunch of times, and I know it's been asked on Facebook quite a bit. Whenever you're doing the pre-trips on the reefers, I know on the carrier, whenever you go into the pre-trip mode, you can see when the last one was done, but nobody can seem to find it on the Thermo King. Is that information available to the drivers like they are on the carrier units, or no?
I'm not aware of that. I'll have to check with Philip. And that goes, we have all of our on-site vendors back here, TK, Carrier, Freightliner, International, blah, blah, you name them. We have a lot of support back there. So for tough questions like that, Thomas, I can't answer. These folks are here for that reason. So one more.
I wanted to ask you guys, I think the guy that I needed to ask is gone. The thing with the load locks, I understand securing the load, but what do we do and who pays for it when we don't get our load locks back? You know what I'm saying? I just tried to load the other day and they told me, give me a load lock. I said no. So I gave him the load lock. He said, there's a load lock inside the trailer. I get to my delivery, there's no load lock. So now I got who pays? My dispatcher says we'll credit you. But when I look on my settlement, I see where I'm being charged for another load lock. And it gets to be expensive.
call the fleet manager. Fleet manager get with sales. You shouldn't be responsible for that. Cole, you gotta.
I was just gonna say also, don't leave that location until we have gotten a hold of sales, asking them to break the seal. If they absolutely won't break the seal, then we have documentation that they wouldn't give us our load locks. So we can actually, it gives us a leg to stand on. But stay there, try to get them to break it or exchange it. If that won't happen, we will try to bill it, but do not leave until we go through that process.
All right, there you go.
Go ahead and stay up here, Cole. Thank you.
Just
You're
stay
coming up
back
here.
You know, we've got our next speaker right here. This is Cole Baldus on a refrigerated side. Cole, how long have you been a fleet manager here at Prime?
Let's see, 12 years?
12 years.
Yeah.
All right, you've been up here a few times before, so do a great job. So go right ahead.
All right. I just wanted to start with, I think it's important to reduce stress, and, you know, an important piece to reducing stress, I think, is controlling it, you know, to control your stress. And by doing that, let's start with a proper trip plan. You know, I know there's some newer folks in here. A lot of the older guys know how to do this down to the second, but I'm going to tell you how important whenever you get a load from us. The load is planned from sales to the truck. It's going to go through dispatch. We're all going to review it. We see your hours of service. We're going to sit there and say, yeah, we think he can run it. We're going to send it over. As soon as you safely can, pull that load up. Verify your miles. How many miles do we have to go? One important piece, run a macro 19. You can get that on your Prime app, on the Geo tab, or your Prime app on your phone. The macro 19 gives you all kinds of great information. I see probably one load a week where a driver delivers down into Laredo and he or she says, hey boss, they're asking for a cash lumper. Well, anyway, I pull up the macro 19, it says, okay, the lumper fee is $150 cash only. It tells me clear as day that they didn't run the macro 19. Also, it'll tell you really specific details on how to get into that location. Whenever you're reviewing the macro 19, pull that location up on Google Maps. Look at the aerial view. Set yourself up. All this stuff, you know, keeps your stress load down. If you plan it, plan ahead. Make sure you're always running ahead. Don't wait till the last minute. Here's the deal. I tell people all the time, we haul freight from point A to point B. Everything happens in between, and I mean everything. You have no idea what might happen. Tire blowout, reefer goes down on you. We need that extra time. Also, guys, we're planning based off your hours. So I can't see into your truck. I know we have the cameras, but I can't log on there and say, you know, what's Jim doing over here? Guys, we're going to plan based off your hours. So if you're up during the day, but you're showing to get a reset at say 1700, my goal is to move you as fast as I can. I need a heads up if you haven't been able to sleep, or maybe you have something going on at home that's kept you up, and maybe you're just tired. Please give us a heads up. You'll never hear a bad word out of us. I will say it is a little frustrating from the fleet manager side. Let's say you're sitting there at the receiver for most of the day. We plan you. You get unloaded, and now all of a sudden you're not ready to work tonight. Let us know ahead of time is all I ask. The better heads up you can give us, the easier it is for us to fix it. We'll get another truck on it. Also, I just wanted to say too, if you run the macro 19 on the Geo tab, you can actually copy and paste that address into Copilot. Might be helpful. You know, I want to talk about proper communication with the fleet manager. I've never gotten upset at a driver for over communicating, but under communicating, that's a problem. So it is very hard for us to go to our customer and tell them the reason why we delivered our load late is because we ran into a rainstorm last night and stopped, but my driver never communicated that. Please just let us know. If you have any problems, shoot us a message. If you can't shoot us a message, if you're not stopped and can shoot us a message, call us. The phones are always on. I'm happy to document that. That gives us a case to tell us the customer why the load was late due to safety. We support our drivers. Besides that, I would say one question I was thinking about the, don't unlatch from your trailers at the truck stops. We've had some theft issues, and theft is on the rise. And I know you guys are thinking about, well, how do I get my oil changed or get something done at the truck stop when I can't unlatch from the trailer? What I would say is get a hold of your fleet manager, let us know. I'm going to ask you to put a kingpin lock on the trailer. I'm going to ask you to keep an eye on your trailer. If we can't do that, then let's come into a terminal and get it done. Let's go somewhere else that we can actually do that. Does anyone have any questions so far?
No questions? Oh, we got a question right back over here.
I was just gonna comment on that last statement you were making. A lot of times when I need an oil change or something at a TA, they will let me drop the trailer immediately in front of the bay I'm pulling into, so only I can back into it.
That's wonderful. I like that.
Perfect. Any other questions? PA, Utah, anybody have any questions? Okay.
Last thing I wanted to say is just, again, temp on the bills. If it does not match what we show, I want you guys to circle it every time. If it does not match, do not leave that shipper until the fleet manager, live loaded department has confirmed what temp to run that trailer on. So hope you guys have a good day.
John,
yes,
we got a question out in Salt Lake City real quick.
Go ahead.
Yes, good morning. About the macro 19s, the notes, how often are those notes updated? Because we actually have a receiver up here in Utah, and the notes say it says overnight parking, and we show up. Guess what? They got Jersey barriers now on the street, and we can't park there. So my question once again is, how often are these notes updated? Because a lot of the notes are outdated.
Let me just say this. They're probably not as updated as good as we should, but if you ever see that, please let the fleet manager know. You can send us a message with what it should say, and we would be happy to update it right then, because things do change.
Pretty much all those last mile directions are updates that we have gotten from feedback from our drivers. So if a situation changes like that, if there's some sort of construction, reach out to your fleet manager, as Cole's saying, and we can get those updated in here on our side. All right, we appreciate the question. Cole, we appreciate the time. Everybody give Cole a round of applause there. And I do want to add on to one thing that Cole was saying, when he's talking about fatigued and, yes, the fleet managers can see your driver hours in here, but what we can't say are those, intangibles like, I didn't get any sleep last night. And we talk about this to the new hire orientation classes, the guy parked next to you may have got his front end taken out by another truck, and there's, emergency crews or whoever there all night. You don't get any sleep. Reach out and let your fleet manager know about that. We have a saying here, you are the captain of the ship, and we stand by that. Nobody can tell you that you're comfortable to drive. That's your decision. So whether it's weather related, fatigue related, traffic related, terrain related, whatever the case may be, you are the captain of the ship, and if you don't feel comfortable to drive, reach out to your fleet manager, have that conversation so they can put a plan together, solve the problem to move you and the freight down the road.
And the big thing there, communicate. Make sure you communicate. And that's what your fleet manager, your road assist, your log person, us in safety, doesn't matter. Cargo claims, if you have a claim going on, make sure you reach out and communicate. All kinds of people here to help you out. So, and that's what we're here for. So.
All right, you ready for our next speaker?
Let's slide into some safety here this morning from our log department. We have Elisha coming over. So good morning, Elisha. Good to have you.
Good morning. I am just going to go through a couple of things super quick. We have been getting a lot of calls about why drive is still picking up after you put your truck in the shop. Remember, before you log out, go over to the dashboard and the GeoTab app, scroll down to where you see your vehicle number, click into there, hit the X, and then hit no vehicle, and then save and continue, and make sure that before you log out, your dashboard does say no vehicle next to the little truck icon. And then you can go up and log out from there. make sure that we are verifying our logs every day. We are still getting hit with that. That is required. You have to do it every 24 hours. Just hit the button, verify and agree. And then the last thing is the major thing. We have been getting a lot of 14-hour rule violations on our inspections. That is most of the time due to split breaks. So remember, if you are ever in an off-duty status for 2 hours or more for the first time in your shift, it's going to pause your clock. Then later, just make sure, even if you're doing your 10-hour break, that you go into sleeper. Sleeper is required anytime that you are physically in the sleeper. So just make sure that we are getting our sleeper time, at least 7 to 8 hours in the sleeper. If you get the pause in your clock, that way you don't get the 14-hour rule violation. We are running violation reports to try to catch those and see if we are able to get them fixed before they become a problem, but just make sure that we are logging sleeper. Any other questions, anything for logs? All right, you guys have a good day.
Thank you, Alicia.
You know, we have a lot of great classes here at Prime, and the log class is one of them. Trent, that was up here earlier, teaches a pro maintenance class. We've got our PSC safety class. So, you know, we encourage you to take these just because you've been here for a long, long time. If you hadn't had one in a long time, they're great refreshers. If you know your truck's going to be in the shop, you're going to be down for a couple of days, reach out to your fleet manager, maybe see about getting in one of these classes if you're interested, that you haven't had in a while. But great refreshers, learn something new every time you're in there.
There you go. And while we're talking about safety, let's move on into safety. This past week, we had 138 total inspections. 94 of those were clean, so a 68% clean rate. So that's pretty good. Give yourself a round of applause. We paid out $7,575 for clean inspection. So 75 on the clean side. So did a really good job. You know, this past week, our CSA scores came out on unsafe driving. We're still pushing 62%. We're still below the intervention, same as the month of May. And the CSA scores are accumulated for June that they released. So June compared to May, we're still at 62%, but we need to continue. We need to get that number down. You know, we're under the intervention, but it's too close. So we're still cutting it too close. So let's keep working on that. Our top 3 violations, John, do you know what they are? You work in safety. Come on.
I do. What are they? I know you've got them written down.
Exactly. The first one, our top ones is failure to obey a traffic control device. So that may be a stop sign, it may be a stop light. And what's interesting with CSA and what everyone needs to know, especially on the driver's side, it doesn't matter if you get a ticket or a warning. Tickets can go against you on CSA, not always, and that's where it kind of turns, you know, some officers, they'll do an inspection if you get a ticket, some won't. If there's no DOT inspection involved, you're just going to get the ticket. Problem with tickets, though, hit you in the pocketbook. Nobody, well, we don't want you paying tickets for anything, you know. So make sure you're ready to roll, and make sure you're watching those stop signs, those stop lights. You're making complete stops because that's what they're looking for. Our second and third ones are speeding. First one is 15 over. 15 over. We've had 107 violations in the last 2 years. Which, you know, we have about 10,000 drivers, 9 to 10,000 drivers. It doesn't seem like that much, but 15 over is a major hit on points for CSA, and that's what hurts us. So you don't get any speeding issues. The second and the third one is 6 to 10 over on speeding. So stay below the speed limit. And it's not speeding out here on 44 where the speed limit is 70. It's going into construction zones. It's going into small towns where it goes from 55 to 35, and there's an officer sitting there. Reason they're sitting there is because they know they can get somebody who's speeding very easily, and that, you know, helps pad their pocketbook for the city or the county or the state. But more importantly, you know, they're enforcing the laws out there, and that's what it's about. So when you come into those towns, it goes 55 or maybe 60 down to 45. Watch your speed. Get on that brake if you have to. You know, slow down. Get there. You know, at the speed limit or below, and you won't have any issues. So, you got anything to add to that, buddy?
You know, talking about speed limits going into smaller towns where we're dropping, you know, going from Big Cabin down towards Texas is a great example that's fairly close to here. And, you know, it's awful. It seems like you're changing speeds every 30 seconds, but, you know, speeds too fast for conditions you're in. You know, we talk a lot about if you've had a swerve alert or a roll stability, the old critical event, you know, whenever you see that exit ramp that says 25 miles per hour, that's not for big trucks, right? That's for personal vehicles. So we want to be 10 to 15 below that speed limit. And, you know, no different going into towns, cities, congested areas, you know, just because the speed limit is 40, maybe that's not the safest speed to be driving at that particular time, depending on the conditions. So please keep that in mind. Please give yourself, you know, plenty of following distance, that ample following distance to give you time to react. If somebody cuts in front of you, doesn't want to get behind you, you've all seen it. We've all seen it on videos. So, you know, just take that little bit of extra precaution to give yourself a chance to react.
And that speed is so important. You know, we just had an operator the last week that was up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It was raining extremely hard. He was empty, million-mile safe driver with us, and he jackknifed. And I just had him at my desk. We did an accident review, and he goes, I was just going too fast. I knew I was empty. I knew it was raining. The roads were covered. And he goes, I just was, even though the speed limit on that interstate or that road he was on was 60 miles an hour, he was running 50. He said, I was still going too fast. And he goes, he was going into a curve and he just lost it. And that can happen very easily. And so be aware of that. It's okay to go 40, 45 if you have to, whatever your safe speed is, but drop that speed down, because something like that can happen, especially when you're empty. You're setting yourself up. You got a load on, you're probably doing a little bit better, but still, you still got to watch that speed, and especially on rain road or rain slick environment, and obviously ice and snow as well. So speed makes a big difference in our accidents, and stay below, and let's get those clean inspections. Let's get those up. We've been in the 70s for many weeks, and yeah, we dipped down 68. That's pretty good this week, but we can do better. So let's keep pushing that.
All right, so we've talked a little bit about the Prime app today, you know, some of the features on it. Cole spoke about it. So if you're new to Prime, or if you're maybe a little bit technology challenged like myself and Dave sometimes, you know, we've got two experts sitting right here to my right, Brianne and Richard. If you have any questions, if you're here in the Springfield terminal, please come see them. They can answer anything you want about the Prime app. If you're out there on the road listening to us on one of the social media channels or in Pittston or Salt Lake City, reach out to us in the safety department and we will get you connected to the right person so that they can get your questions answered.
And one thing too, I need to bring up, and I almost forgot, man, we got picnics coming up, John. Did you know that? Yeah, so August 15th is going to be our first one. That is on a Friday in Minooka. So if you're up there in Minooka, and I want to give a big shout out. I know they watch us on our Friday mornings, and love to, stop by there. They'd love to have you Friday, August 15th. And then after that, Salt Lake's the 23rd of August. Springfield here. Obviously, we got a Salt Lake fan over there. Love it. Okay, good deal. Springfield, we got the truck driving championships on August 29th, which is Friday night underneath the lights. Yep. And then in the 30th, the day after, is our picnic here, and it is a big shindig, and all kinds of great prizes for bingo. And if you can make it, make sure you're here. But then the following Saturday, on September 6th, Pittston's having their picnic. So if you can make it by one of those terminals, you're out, hey, enjoy yourself, because that's what it's about. We like to have fun too here, and it's just not all work.
They're a great time, family friendly, so bring your kids. It's a great time. So
most definitely. Go ahead.
If you notice, you see a lot of red here, up here with our vendors, back here behind you. So red every week stands for Remember Everyone Deployed. So we would like to honor and recognize anybody that served in our armed forces. If you could stand up, let us give you a round of applause and thank you for your service. We greatly appreciate what all of you did. And with that, let's bring up a veteran, Mr. Steve Wutke.
A veteran of a lot of things, but also serving the country. It's good to see you all here today. I'm going to talk just a minute about the real meaning of service, not just on-time pickup and on-time delivery, but also the quality of the equipment, the cleanliness of the equipment. We've had a kind of an uptick in trailers being dropped in yards that are not road ready. And here's the thing. It'd be a whole lot easier if you know you got a problem with your trailer to tell your fleet manager. He'll pay you for the miles to get the trailer fixed, get it ready to go, take it back and drop it, then move along with your freight. Now, I realize there are times when you really have a really tough schedule, a tight load that needs to go, you need to get under it. So when that occurs, I understand it. I don't understand why you wouldn't tell your fleet manager that this trailer needs to be repaired before you drop it. Just communicate. You heard Cole talk about communication. Cole Baldus is just a heck of a fleet manager. His trucks do very, very well. And he has already told you the importance of that communication. So please don't hesitate to communicate closely with your fleet manager. It's really not about trying to pin somebody with a charge that is not theirs. It is just about providing service to our customers. And it will also create additional freight. When you drop a trailer ready, that shipper will pull it in and get it loaded for us. So please keep that in mind. And we've talked some about theft. We've had some really, really tough situations where maybe a lack of intensity or just the urgent need to unhook the trailer and go run somewhere and see family. You know, it only takes about 30 minutes for that trailer to be stolen. Sometimes not even that. And we've had some theft. That is not a good situation. Every load we handle now on the protein side is generally in excess of 300,000. Some of them in excess of 500,000. We got to protect the customer, we got to protect you, and we got to protect our company. So please adhere to security. Talk to your fleet manager about dropping a trailer. We'll find a place for it that's secure. Again, it's about communication. So before I get out of here, I want to bring up Jim Guthrie, who handles our operations. I think he'd like to share some information about what we're seeing on the operational side as far as revenue, gross and net, and overall revenue.
Good, thanks, Steve. Yeah. So, you know, it's been the last 3 or 4 months, we've seen a little bit of a trend line going in our direction. You know, it's getting a little bit better out there. You feel what I'm saying, Thomas? So, yeah, Thomas is kind of like, Jim, I'm not sure really it is, but here's what we're seeing. So over the last 12 weeks, we're up on the refrigerated division about just over $200 per truck per week. So, you know, that's versus the same time period last year. So, you know, we've, I think last week, Steve, we were up 10 cents on our gross revenue per mile, about 6 cents on the net revenue per mile. And so we're seeing a little bit of activity, a little upward movement in the rate, and a little bit of activity and upward movement in the velocity. Now, having said that, we've got a really, really long way to go. Steve and all of our team are working very hard to get out there and knock down some doors to get additional volume and velocity. But, you know, there's light at the end of the tunnel. We're coming into the middle of the third quarter of the year, calendar year, which is always, you know, kind of a better situation for us freight-wise, back to school. And then you get into kind of the football and then the holiday season. And you know, there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic. Just last week in the refrigerated division in total, we were up 2,055 loads versus the same week last year. That's a big number of loads of volume that we're up. And when you add that into the rate increases that I talked about and the velocity, the density, it starts to really impact everybody. And so we're starting to see some of those earnings go in the right direction. And that's what we're really focused on to help each of you. So, you know, it's been a really long, hard, as many of you know, last 24 to 30 months, maybe even a little bit longer. And, you know, we're going to come out of this and we're going to be in really good shape. You know what, Steve touched on it, Cole touched on it, but while I'm here, I can't give up the mic without mentioning it again. You know, it's kind of the 3 S's: safety, security, and service. And as you go through trip plans, you got to have a plan for each one of those components. Safety trumps everything, But, in this day and age, we've got to have a security plan every day with every load and every piece of equipment. If you do have to go into the truck stop to get a shower and you're still connected to your trailer, an air cuff lock is absolutely necessary. If you don't have an air cuff lock, please get one today. You read the headlines. I mean, every week it's billions and billions of dollars in equipment and freight theft. So don't be victims. Lock yourself up, lock your equipment up, and protect all the trailers, whether they're loaded or empty. Very critical right now, and it's not just one area. There's some hot spots, Florida, California, obviously hot spots, but it's everywhere. So you can be a victim in the middle of the country just as much as you can on the East Coast or the West Coast. So that's all for me. I appreciate everybody, all that you do every day. Like I said, there's light at the end of the tunnel and we're going in the right direction. So good reasons to be optimistic about the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. I'd like to take a minute and thank all of our operators for what you do. We're recognized throughout the industry with many of our customers for being the best gold standard when it comes to service. And it is because of what you all do every day. And those of you that are out there on the road now, we thank you very much. We're gonna keep moving here. I'm gonna bring up the president of our company, Darrel Hopkins, and I'll give up this microphone.
You don't have to.
You got your own. Yeah.
So, it should be obvious, I guess, that cargo theft's kind of on our mind. You've heard from several people, and it's because we've had a couple bad incidents. So it's real. These groups are organized. I mean, they're watching, and you got to know that they're following you. They're at truck stops. They're sitting there waiting. So just keep that in mind. I love what that driver back there said. Drop that thing right in front of the bay where nobody else can back up to it and get your PM done. That was fantastic. So anyway, it's a great topic, and I'm glad we really spent some time on it. The other thing I was going to say, too, is, we brag about our drivers a lot, and we should, because we truly have the best drivers in the business. It says, driven by the best on our trucks and trailers. It means that. But I want to take a second, too, and brag about our management team, because we had our strategic planning session the beginning of this week. Man, I'm just going to tell you, we have an impressive group of leaders. They really are good. We're putting our 5-year plan together. You should be excited. We have some really good things planned. We have a great growth strategy, I think. We're going to hit some good numbers. So be excited to be at this company, because I'm impressed every time I see what our folks have and what they have to say. And I think it makes a great team when you got the best drivers and the best leaders. You put them together, man, you're a powerful company, and we are, and we're going to really grow. And there's a lot of tenure and that kind of thing in this group. So I think we should be thankful that we've partnered together. Speaking of somebody that's got a lot of miles on them, I might bring up Robert.
Yeah, I'm pretty old too, and I got a lot of miles on me, kind of like one of them old prime trucks, back in the old days, a bunch of miles, and they eventually, you just grind them up and they just turn into rust and dust and you're done. So you need some new equipment coming along. We've been shaking and begging. Steve has anyway. We had a busy week. Darrel mentioned some things going on. Steve's been out there. I mean, he's a trooper. He got some miles on him too, but he's a trooper. He answers the bell every time. He answers the bell.
My logbook is hot. I'm going to tell you right now. I am over hours, but it's okay.
It's a good thing you're not on the e-logs. You can't cheat him. He got an old paper logbook, so I think he fudges a little bit, if you know what I'm saying. No, good things are going on. We're making inroads with customers. We're bringing on more freight, better rates, more freight, better rates. You understand the drill, Steve? Don't give it away. Sell it. So anybody can give it away.
We don't do that low price thing. We do low cost.
There we go. Anyway, folks, we appreciate you so much. Our drivers are the best, and you've enabled us to do so many things because of the sacrifices you make, the dangers that you face, the hardships of being on the road, the birthdays, graduations, celebrations, holidays that you may miss being on the road. And you know, it's tough. It's a tough life, and it requires a lot of skill, and you got to pay attention to all these details. When talking about dropping the trailers to the right locations and picking it up and delivering on time, having the right temperature, you know, making sure that that product that we deliver is at least as good as condition as what we picked it up in. You know, it's all really important and requires a lot of thought, a lot of skill on your part, and you do it very well. And I thank you for it. God bless each of you. Please be safe out there.